And now, here to let you know there is no perfect movie, here is Tyler Wolff.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Tyler, and day one of the Toronto International Film Festival is over. I had the privilege of seeing The Fall of the American Empire last night, which was such a unique experience for me as a film goer. I've never been in a movie theater that was that huge, that had that many big of fans who were familiar with actors and directors and writers as much as I did about lesser known, more niche films. And that part was really interesting. It was great seeing a lot of people who knew who Denys Arcand was, who have seen a lot of Canadian films, which, figures we're Canadian, we should watch more of those. And the amount of respect that the audience had for the people responsible for the craft was just really awesome. I stuck around for the Q&A with Arcand and the cast, and we all gave them a standing ovation regardless of how we felt of the film, and you know what? It felt like paradise. I really wish more screenings that I went to were like this. So the movie centers around a parcel delivery man who stumbles upon a bank robbery in the middle of daylight. One shooter's dead, one security guard's dead, the other one escapes, but he leaves all the money behind. So the delivery man decides to take the money for himself. Thing is, he's been poor all his life and he has no idea what to do with it. So, with the help of an escort and a former bookie for a biker gang, they come up with a pretty clever way to launder the money. And the majority of the movie is them deciding what to do with it while also having philosophical conversations about how capitalism has not only messed up America for good, but is starting to mess up Canada as well. And that's something Denys Arcand is known for. He loves to have his characters have philosophical discussions about the American society from a Canadian point of view. And the one thing that he adds to this movie is how the American system is not only failing, but it's starting to fail other countries, Canada included. And that part was something that I wasn't really expecting. I was kind of expecting a run-of-the-mill crime thriller that had some violent moments, some elements of surprise and stakes to it, and a few satirical elements shoved in here and there. But much to my surprise, the majority of the movie is a satirical comedy that loves to make references to other people who are known for hiding their money abroad. There are a ton of jokes about the International Olympic Community, about FIFA, of course about Donald Trump. If Trump wasn't big in the media right now, I don't think this movie would have been as popular. And there are tons of movies that usually just make reference after reference without really getting a laugh or making a clear point, but the reason it works in this movie and the reason it got so many laughs out of the crowd in my theater was because the writing and the performances were so deadpan in their delivery. They say all these horrible things as if it was practically nothing. And not only is it funny just from a comedy perspective, but in regards to the philosophy and the message that Arcand is trying to make, it goes to show just how little people care about things like this anymore, which is an incredibly huge shame. But it never makes the characters seem unlikable because they want to do good things with the money. There are a ton of references about how these people do volunteer work for homeless people. There are a lot of shots that just center on homeless people just going about on their everyday lives. In fact, Arcand even said during the middle of shooting, they came up with this idea on the spot. They paid these homeless people to be in the movie. And the funny thing is, I thought this was all completely on purpose, but as he said, it all happened very spontaneously. And in his point of view, it really added to the vision of the movie, and I gotta agree with that. Alexandre Landry gives a very good performance as kind of the straight man of this trio of criminals. He is by all means technically a smart and upright person. He has a PhD, he has never had any run-ins with the law, but once he gets this money, and all these ideas pop into his head about what to do with them, he actually becomes stupider as the time goes by. And the reactions from every other side character, especially Rémy Girard as the accountant, make each scenario feel all the more funny because these characters see things the way we are. We look at this guy's actions and we think, are you serious? You are a total dumbass. The pacing and the tone kind of go back and forth as time goes by, especially when they cut back to the gang that's responsible for the shooting in the first place. I gotta be completely honest, nothing against the actors who are in those scenes, but you could have cut them And I don't think it would have really made much of a difference. In fact, if we kept the gang out of it and these cops come back to the criminals and say, look, somebody stole this money and these people are going to come looking for you, wouldn't that be a little more intense if you don't know who is in this gang, and as a result, it kind of makes it a little more suspenseful because anybody who's following them could be a gang member or a cop, and that would raise the stakes. But instead, these gangsters do very stereotypical gangster things. They say who owes money, they torture in very, not over-the-top violent ways, but ways that are kind of unnecessary given the situation that they're in, and it really didn't add that much to the satirical element of the movie. Overall, The Fall of the American Empire was a nice start to the TIFF experience. It had really good performances, it had some clever writing and comedy, and a pretty important message to say about capitalism, not just from America's standpoint, not from Canada's, but just from the world itself. And for that reason, I'm going to give The Fall of the American Empire a 3.5 out of 5. And stay tuned for more TIFF reviews. I'm going to be having ones up for Beautiful Boy and The Predator very soon. Thank you once again. Take care.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more No Perfect Movie reviews.